Welcome to Catalyst Conversations, the podcast where we spark powerful change in women's wealth. I'm Hadriana Leo, a wealth coach, counselor, and strategist, and each week we dive into the conversations, strategies, and stories that help women confidently create the life they've always dreamed of. So grab your favorite bevy, settle in, and let's get started on transforming your relationship with money. This is Catalyst Conversations, igniting change in women's wealth. Let's spark the conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Catalyst Conversations. It is my absolute pleasure to have with us today Sue Coleman. And before I tell you all about Sue, I asked her for a motto, a personal statement, or something that really resonates with her. And she did the awesome favor of picking one of my favorite humans on the planet right now, a quote from Sir Richard Branson. And I'm going to get it so that I read it properly and I represent it well. So Richard Branson is quoted as having said this: if you aren't making a difference in other people's lives, you shouldn't be in business. It's that simple. You can almost hear it. You can almost hear it, the accent and the laid back way he said it, that makes it so duh in how he laid it out. Sue, tell me a little bit about why you chose that saying or that specific quote.
I think it just speaks volumes because it just says it all. Like, I mean, it takes so many people go into business for themselves,
Mhm.
but that doesn't serve anybody.
Right.
You have to be making a difference, and whatever you do should have an impact on others positively. And I mean,
Yes.
it just sort of spoke to me. I mean, I love Richard Branson. I've read his books, and it just rung true. It just like it just says it all. I mean, that's what I'm in business to do, is make a difference. And it's that simple. And he
Yeah.
just put it so succinctly. I mean, I saw it and it just thought, yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah, I think that the simplicity of the statement is probably what makes it so profound. It's really straightforward. You're in business. If you're not making a positive difference, then what's the point?
Mhm.
Why bother at all? And I think if anyone is on brand with that kind of statement, it would definitely be Sir Branson, because him making a positive impact in other people's lives, it's all over everything he does. So he
Yeah,
didn't just say this, he lives it every day.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He
Yeah.
does. And yeah, I've always liked his quotes. There's another one that says, if someone offers you an opportunity, say yes and then figure it out later. That's not exactly the words, but that had a big impact on me. Oh, probably 12, 13 years ago, when I was looking at an opportunity and I'm going, and I saw that and I thought, oh, what the heck? What have I got to lose?
Yeah.
Just, it's such a great opportunity. Say yes and then figure out how to do it. The way
Yeah.
will become clear. And it worked
Well,
brilliantly.
it certainly is impactful. I'm looking over at some of the my books over here, and his is not here, but Losing My Virginity is on my bookshelf upstairs. And I'm saddened to say I haven't read through it, but I've had it, and it's going to be coming up to the top of the to read next pile,
Yeah.
because really his work is inspirational. But we're talking about you today, Sue. We want to talk about how quotes like these are kind of impelling you, moving you forward in your personal life and in your business. And I'll just tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do. Okay, so I'll give you the business bio, and then I'll tell you what she says about herself. Okay, so here's the business bio. Sue is a networking mastery coach. She's the founder and owner of Empowered Networking. Now, Sue guides ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners to build robust, ethical professional networks that drive success. She does this through individual coaching, workshops, and events. That's the business side of Sue. But when I asked Sue, tell me a little bit about yourself or describe yourself in a few words, here's what she said. She is the wife to Kevin for over 50 years. That just blew my mind right there. I'm like, okay, I haven't even lived that long, Sue. Let me just put that out there.
Oh, great.
She is the mother to two amazing entrepreneurial sons, and they're both married to amazing women who are also business owners. She's grandmother of two grandsons, and she loves to travel. She's lived in several places around the world, including Belgium, the USA, and Japan, and she really enjoys cultural diversity. Where Sue and I connect in very real ways is that Sue loves to sing, and I love to sing. I couldn't imagine myself not singing. And you have actually sung with quite reputable, well-known, or doing great things choirs. Tell me a little bit about your choir in residence experience.
Yeah, we got to do that twice actually with the choir I sing with here in Oakville, St. Jude's. We've back in 2015 was the first time we were invited to go to Ripon Cathedral and be the choir in residence for a week there. Because as you may or may not know, with English cathedrals, a lot of them have paid or like boys' choirs and that during the year, but during the summer, they have no one to lead their music ministry. So
Ah,
they invite choirs. So you have to send like audition tapes and one thing another. And so we were invited to come and fill that for a week in 2015, which was really exciting. It was the first time the choir had done that. And then in 2019, we were invited to come to Winchester Cathedral to be the choir in residence. So
very
yeah,
nice.
so that's where you sing evensong every day and you do two services on the Sunday. So it's a lot of work, but a lot of fun and such an amazing experience. I actually got to do a
Listen,
solo in Winchester, which I was impressed with myself.
you too. I mean, it's a lot of people think of singing as just this gift you have and you just do it. And they don't realize that, especially when it's part of your ministry, it is a work that you are always looking to improve and perfect and regulate and tonation and expression, all of that goes into delivering one piece. So imagine when you have to work on refining 7, 8, 9 pieces for delivery. I can imagine you probably were sweating under your robes.
Yeah, I mean, and we were representing our home church as well as representing ourselves and our choir director, who was quite a young man. He was not quite 30 when he joined us, and amazing musician in his own right. But he'd come up, he was a Bret, and he'd come up through the boys' choir. I'm not sure if it was King's College or what, but he was one of the prestigious choirs in the UK. And then we were lucky to get him as our choir director. And so
Very
it was
nice.
really an amazing experience. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I saw how committed you are to choral music, how everywhere you live, you look for a choir,
Mhm.
I thought it totally makes sense that you're someone who fosters healthy, ethical, professional connections because a choir is not actually a group of soloists. If you are a soloist, you don't sing well in a choir. To be part of a choir, you actually need to release your soloist persona and learn to sing as part of a group so that your voice is actually not distinctive, but
Mhm.
it is part of a beautiful melody. I thought that's exactly Sue. That is 100% you because by connecting and making these relationships work and tightening them, you actually get that beautiful result. So you are a networking mastery coach, and it totally resonates. Tell me what that involves in your day to day. What are you doing for your clients, or what are you doing on a daily basis that reinforces that work?
Well, what I like to do is I work with individuals one on one. Some entrepreneurs have been doing this forever, and then they get to this, oh, it doesn't work. And I love working with them because yes, it does, but you got to do it properly.
Right.
And I love working with new entrepreneurs because they don't have any bad habits. So you can say, let's get you started on the right thing because it's all about building relationships.
Right.
Like everything you do, every person you talk to, whether it's a planned activity, a networking event, a business, it's building a relationship.
Right.
And that's the absolute bottom line with anything I do. It's
Mhm.
all about building relationships. And people I talk to, just I just had a Zoom call prior to this, and that's just building the relationship. Neither one of us is doing business with each other.
Mhm.
However, somebody in my network might need their services. Somebody in their network might need my services. We just stay in touch. We be human beings. What a novel idea. Be in connection, and there's no expectation of you're going to buy my stuff. It's just I'm building the relationship. And so many people lose that fact. They think that coming to a networking meeting and having a conversation, well, that's it. I've done my networking. That's just opening the door.
Yeah.
You have to push it open and see how you can help each other. You have to reach out on a regular basis. And it can be in many different forms. It can be you're just liking somebody's social media. It
Right.
can be sending them a holiday card. It can be just calling them and saying, hey, how are you? Thought about you. How's it going? It's about relationships. It's about being friends. It's about building those connections
Yeah.
and no expectation. And that's what I teach and train on is just talk to people. What a novel idea.
You know
Just
what? I I was on we cruised the end of the year for the holidays. And you're walking past many people up and down as you're going through. But I found especially in the hallways between staterooms. So as you're walking
Mhm.
to the elevators or what have you, I passed some people and I remembered saying to my family, I said, so much would be accomplished if people would just raise their eyes and look at you, because so many times I'm very much a connector person.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at this person, expecting that they will also raise their eyes and look at me, and we can say, hello, good morning, how are you? It doesn't even have to be all that. Let's just connect eye to eye. How about
Mhm.
that? And keep moving along. It was so hard for so many people. And I think that's part of what we've lost, that sense of just making a connection
Yeah.
seems to no longer be. There was a time when it was, you were taught manners and it was the thing you had to do or else, you're
Mhm.
ill-mannered or what have you. But now you would think that we yearn for connection, but I think more and more we're running away from it, and it's so scary. How
Well, people are looking at their phones. I mean, their heads down, looking at like, oh my gosh, I might miss a message. Like, what's coming? Like, yeah, my husband. Well, we're heading off on a cruise shortly too, and we always say hi to people in the corridors. He's like, good morning, good evening, you know. And
yeah.
yeah, it's amazing how many people will avert their eyes. I mean, it's just weird. Nothing's gonna happen if you say hello.
Yeah. But you know what? I think that personal hesitation also flows through into our business relationships. And I don't know if it's a vulnerability that we want to avoid. I know for me, I kind of had this thing where I didn't want my personal life bleeding into my business life. And then I'm like, but I just have one life. how do I turn myself into this thing here and then do this other thing there? So this is me, this is who I am, this is all I am. And I bring it everywhere I go. Of course, there are things that are appropriate in different
Yeah.
spaces. But I'm curious to know, Sue, is this what you've always done? Is this your networking mastery coaching? Is this what you've always done or some version of that?
I've always been a networker. Like, I've always enjoyed connecting with people.
Mhm.
And I remember when my kids were little, I was going bonkers because, it was talking blah, 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 baby language. And I just wanted that, you know, real conversation with people. So back when I've been about 40 some odd years ago, because my youngest now is 44, I was an Avon lady. I just decided to become an Avon lady because that was the only way I could think of to get regular, one-on-one conversations, something I could do with my children, like well, with the
Right,
first one, push them in the buggy and we'd go drop off the cat, the brochures and get them back. So it was my interaction, it was my connection.
right.
But yeah, even when I lived overseas, the first time we went overseas was when the kids were 4 and 7. And just having to find my way around involved having to build relationships with
Yeah.
people in the community, in the expat community, and find out what they were doing and just find relationships and build that, you build your sort of safety net around you in that
Mhm.
kind of situation. So it's just something I've always sort of done, um, just naturally, I guess. I'm being
Mhm.
fortunate that way. I've not been afraid to reach out and connect and, connect the dots to find out where I needed to get to or what I needed to do. And
Right.
it's just something I do.
Yeah. And I think that is actually quite compelling in itself because oftentimes we look at who we are and what we do based on the title that we happen to carry in the position that we happen to have at the time.
Mhm.
Um, but the things, the gifts and the special, what do they call it? Your zone of genius usually doesn't lie in the title. It lies in that thing you do effortlessly, but so well that you just do it without even thinking about it. And you have always been a connector.
Mhm.
So in everything you're doing, you're connecting with people. What happened that moved you to say, okay, you know what? I need to be a networking mastery coach, to actually put that in your title and kind of plant your flag and say, this is what I do. What happened?
COVID, number one.
Oh, that thing.
That thing. But I mean, I was fine through COVID. Um, and I couldn't think what was sort of, there's something in your back, you're going like, what's missing?
Mhm.
And then, I have conversations, excuse me. And then I had one particular conversation that I was just networking and connecting with somebody. And it just went the way of other ones, like it just follow up on one. And then I started using a new product to do my emails.
Mhm.
And this particular person was on my mailing list.
Okay.
And I sent out, I was really thrilled with myself that I'd managed to master the art of sending out a newsletter on this thing. And then I got this crazy message from this individual saying, I didn't know you started using that product. I didn't get a notification. And I'm going like, since when did I have to notify people that I'm using a new product?
Oh, wow.
Like it was just like weird. And this particular gentleman was quite obnoxious about the fact that he had told me about this product.
Mhm.
You did? I didn't remember. This is 6 months on.
All right.
I haven't heard from him. And I got this torrent of emails and a video of our conversation
Oh,
where
my.
he needed to prove that he had mentioned this to me. Now I understand how these things work, right? It's if somebody introduces, then you would take action through them. I get that.
Right. Right.
But you have to stay in touch and you have to have a relationship. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is what
Wow.
is wrong, or not wrong, but this is what is missing,
Mm-hmm.
is people have lost the art of staying in touch and building relationships.
Right.
Just because you and I have a conversation once does not mean that the minute I think of doing, no, if you haven't spoken to me in 6 months or made any connection or an interaction or built that relationship, then my goodness, why would I suddenly, say, oh, yes, I need it was just that was the thing that really just sort of pushed me over the edge and thought, I need to help people here because
Yeah.
they're missing out. Just because you have this one-on-one conversation, that is opening the door.
Yeah.
And you should never ever come to, well, this is my personal opinion, you should never ever come to a networking meeting or a Zoom meeting or whatever expecting to get something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened over COVID is the world suddenly went into lockdown and then people were like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do business? Like, how am I going to get business? And so suddenly Zoom opened up and we had all these networking meetings going on. And so people came to get business. Okay, if I go to this networking meeting, I can get something. And so there's that get mentality of
Yeah.
coming to get something out of a call. Whereas I
Yeah.
was always taught palm up networking. Come and how can you help? Listen for
Right.
how you can help. And so that was really the sort of the tipping point was that particular thing that happened. And I thought,
Mm-hmm.
this is what's missing, and this is what I need to do. This is why I'm doing it. It's because there is an art to networking,
Yeah, yeah.
and you
And it's
have to
I
master it.
think with the example that you used, you don't just stay in touch, but you need to stay relevant.
Mhm,
I think if the relationship was how can I help you,
mhm,
the conversation would continue because you would always be asking or looking for opportunities to be relevant to the needs that Sue has or the other connections in your Rolodex, well,
mhm.
in your Gmail
Now you're dating
contacts,
yourself.
in your CRM. Yeah, because then the objective is I want to help. How can I
Mhm,
help? So that would be, um, hey Sue, it's been a while since we connected. How are things going? What's new with you? Is there
mhm,
anything I can help with? And that's what, 3 lines, 4 lines, a quick email out to stay relevant. And I think how do you combat? I'll ask you this. How do you combat the idea that it is not genuine? Because we're all in business. We are all looking for sales. We're not charities or feel-gooders. We're not hobbyists.
mhm,
We are in business to make money, and sales drive our revenue. If no
mhm,
sales, no
yeah.
business. So, yes, we're all going to these networking events to make connections with the ultimate goal, somewhere, somehow, of making a sale. So, how is it genuine when I'm sending an email? Hey, how are you doing? What's up? When I do know that somewhere along the line, I'm anticipating a sale, maybe not directly, but indirectly. Is that being disingenuous in the process?
I don't think so. I think it's for me. I mean, I've been doing it all the last couple of months, especially as we go into the holidays. I've taken the opportunity to wish people happy holidays, or hey, we haven't talked in a while. We should have a catch up. I do that with no intention of getting business. I
Mhm.
do that because I want to catch up.
Yeah.
And I think by giving more and by listening for how you can help the other person, like just the conversation I had just now, is I said, hey, let me know about your workshops because I like to share that with people.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything disingenuous or wrong in just touching base and saying, hey, how are you? yes, we are all in business, but hey, there's probably a zillion people in your database. But if you reached out to me and said, hey, just checking in, say, hi, happy new year, how are you? I don't think, oh, what does she want now? It's just like, oh, it was nice of her to think of me because, I'm not the only person in a Rolodex.
That's right.
So what I don't like is when you say yes to somebody who you think, is sending you a message on LinkedIn,
Hmm.
and you accept their connection request. And the next thing you get is this verbal vomit of a thing saying, this is what I do. Is like, ah, then I
Yeah,
feel like I've been slimed. And it's like, ugh, you aren't
yeah.
interested in getting to know me at all. When you know, I get quite, sometimes if I get ticked off, I write back and say, we haven't had a drink. I'm not ready to get into bed. But like, I mean, that to me is not genuine at all. That is just,
Right.
I want business. But you
Yeah.
following up and saying, hey, how are you? It's been a while. That's fine. I mean, I think, oh, that's so nice. Hadriana thought about me.
Hmm.
That's how I think about it. And that would probably prompt me to say, hey, why don't we get on a call, catch up? It's
Right.
been a while since we talked.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think people understand. I think it depends how you set the groundwork up with that initial conversation. People
Hmm.
know if you're coming to get something.
Yes.
They
Yes.
you can tell,
Yeah.
if that. But if there's easy conversation and, oh, what are you doing? How was your holidays? That's great. What do you got on the horizon? That I think that's people know. People can
Yeah.
sense it. The spidey senses go, ooh.
100,000%. I think networking in person, you were I could spot them from a mile away. Like I could feel it coming at me. Those that just wanted to say, hi, how are you? Will you buy this? Buy this now. I'm selling
Yeah.
this, buy it now. You
Here's my
could feel
card.
it in yeah, you feel it in the room. You
Yeah.
literally, and it was one of the things that I struggled with going to in-person networking events. The energy just drained me. I had to combat that and still try to be my genuine self when everything in my body was saying, I don't want to be here. So the in-person ones, I could sense it. I
Mhm.
find it a little more difficult in the virtual space. In the virtual space, I look for body movements. I look for intonation in the voice that'll give me an idea that this is happening. How do you spot them post-COVID? How are you able to kind of figure out, I want to pursue this connection versus, you know what, maybe not this one?
Yeah. Well, again, I think a lot of it goes with your spidey senses. Like you get a guts gauge around some
Yeah.
people, when you go off into a breakout room and, suddenly, there are certain people and you just know it. It just kind of go like, and it's, especially if it's just one-on-one and you get no talk time at all. Oh, let me just share with you. And they've no respect for the time of,
Hmm.
like we're only in this room for 5 minutes, each of you have 2.5, and they suddenly think at 4 minutes, oh, I'm sorry, you haven't said anything. Well,
That's right.
didn't come up for air, like I mean,
I'm
uh,
very gracious in those spots. Anytime that happens, I don't even try to like go into anything, because I know already that this was not designed for me to actually share much.
yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say it wasn't designed. The intention of the host of the event
Mhm.
was for us to share, but the person I ended up in the room with did not have that as an intention. It was, let me tell you all those things. Um, Having said that, there are those people who just don't get it. It isn't that they are horrid. It isn't that they
Mhm.
are desperate. It isn't that they are coming at you just wanting to sell, sell, sell. There are some people that just they don't know the art of networking and they come across poorly, and that is actually hindering their business. what do you say to them? How do you explain the art of networking to that person who genuinely wants to do better, but may not intuitively, know how to go and what to do?
Yeah, maybe if I'm sort of one-on-one with that person and
Mhm.
they give me a chance, I will usually talk about what I do. And then I sometimes say to them, I said, can I just give you a few hints on
Mhm.
how you could have, introduced yourself better, or I might just work it into what I'm talking about and hope that they hear that.
Hopefully.
And and that's probably somebody I will follow up with and say, hey, I'd like to get to know you better, and invite them to a one-on-one where we can maybe have a conversation. I'm not going to try and sell them anything on that. I may just offer to give them a copy of my, ebook on how to
Mhm.
network. And sometimes people will ask, like, I sort of fell all over my words, and can you help? Yeah, this is, and give them some suggestions. But um, yeah, I mean, I just try and be helpful. If I can help somebody get their message straighter, and or quite often if they've blah, 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 and I'm going like, I have no clue about what you do. Let's
Yeah,
try and narrow it down. So at that point, I might just, sort of give up on me introducing myself, and sort of introduce myself by helping them. Because I may say, like, I mean, you've just told me you work with anybody, but unfortunately, I don't have anybody called anybody in my phone.
that's
So
right.
we get a little bit more succinct, or, can you just give me a bit more of a nugget? So I help them sort of indirectly, because I want to understand their message. So
Right.
that's one way I can sort of help them without them knowing I'm helping them, sort of thing,
Yeah, definitely.
just to try and
So
help.
at what point in the networking relationship? So I'm going to say the networking relationship because
Mhm,
it's not a one-off. It is
mhm,
something that is ongoing, hopefully a long-lasting relationship.
mhm.
At what point in your correspondence, your coffee chats, and what have you, do you say, uh, you know, my business is going through this and I have this happening? Or I'm happy to help you if you would like help. This is what I do. I can offer assistance. Is there a place for that in the conversations?
Yeah, I think it just comes naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody is happy to be on my mailing list, then they get the information on, what's coming up, etc.
Hmm.
So I just wait for it to happen naturally. Or if
Right.
somebody says to me, "Oh, keep me posted," I don't have time in the next couple of months, but if you're doing anything in the second quarter, let me know. Then I'll put that in my, CRM, and flag them to follow up and let them know.
Yes.
I just look for the opening of how I can help.
Yes.
And
And it comes back to that, how I can help.
yeah,
It always comes back to how can I help you? And sometimes the help we offer is directly through the services we provide in our business. Sometimes the help we offer is, oh, I know somebody, or I've used this tool, or
mhm,
this is a trick that's worked for me. We can help in so many different ways that it doesn't always have to be buy this thing that I'm selling. And we can stay relevant in that we have experiences and that we can share that can be helpful to someone else. So
yeah,
again, how can I help?
yeah,
I imagine that you create opportunities for your guests, the people in your circle, to practice their networking, whether they're clients or not, because you wouldn't be a networking coach if you're not facilitating networking connections
yeah.
and opportunities. So, what are you hosting? Where are you having these events? Are they paid? Are they online? Are they in person? Tell me more.
Yes, yes, yes. So at Empowered Networking, I host usually on the second Tuesday of the month. I
Mhm.
host what I call my power hours. And I do them at 11 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because some people or some entrepreneurs still have jobs,
Yes.
and we do it after work, but also that one tends to encourage the Australians and that to come.
Ah,
But
yes.
they're slightly different in that initially everybody comes in and everybody gets an opportunity to introduce themselves as
Mhm.
usual. And if they're open to it, they can receive feedback from people there. Because I say your introduction should make you memorable and referable. Because if you're not that, then you haven't got a hope in heck.
Right.
So we just, if people are open, we'll say, okay, fine. Did you understand who that person is voting for? You know, you come and
Hmm.
give your thing. And if people say, well, oh, no, I'm not really sure because it was too much, then we can give some guidance. We can't spend a lot of time, but we can help the person to refine it and say,
Right.
okay, you need to be a bit more specific about that. So that's the first part. Then we look for, where's everybody been networking? Did you find any gems? You know,
Hmm.
of this. And then we do a brainstorm. Like if somebody has, you know, one example is somebody was new to being an entrepreneur and they were going to the dreaded first in-person networking meeting and they didn't know like how to, like, what do I do? So it was good because the group all get together and shared ideas on how you could prepare. So it's not all about me
Right.
training people, it's about hearing from other people's experience as well. And I pick up new ideas too, and saying that's a smart thing to do. So that's the nature of those ones. So
Mm.
it's slightly different. Then I'm also a licensee with selling on the spot marketplace. So those are paid events. Yeah, the power hours are free, but the selling on the spot marketplaces are paid events. And they're an
Hmm.
opportunity where you can network, you get to connect, you can book appointments, and you can make an offer. You can make sales, which is not the usual thing at networking meetings, but that one's pretty clear, selling on the spot.
Yes.
Bring an offer, and that can be just join my list, you know, have a one-on-one, book an appointment. It can be anything. It's
Hmm.
not the first time you come is not the time to bring $1,000 offer. That's not going to fly because people don't know, like, and trust you,
That's right.
right? But you can come and bring something, as I say, join my email list, my lead magnet, or some whatever. It's for any business. It's fun. And then in February and March, I'm going to start doing workshops again with Empowered Networking. So
Mhm.
I'll be offering a 5-week course where people can work in, you know, once a week, get together
Right.
and actually work on the networking skills. And then I'm also looking at doing some shorter, like 90-minute on a specific topic, how to use a particular, there's a really awesome Chrome extension I use, which
Mm.
helps you to network on LinkedIn, and it's
Ah,
just
wow.
genius. So I teach on that and or different things that people want to work on. So
Yeah.
a bit. So
And
yeah.
I like that. I like that these opportunities have both in-person and online components. I like that you're varying the time of day to make it
Mhm,
accessible. And I like that you're kind of you're clear when
mhm.
we're doing empowered networking. This is about refining and meeting new people. I have to say that I did attend one of your empowered networking sessions last year. And from that one encounter, I have followed up with, oh my gosh, I think I've had 6 or 7 follow-ups from that one encounter.
Awesome.
And Sue, one of those people on the call is now part of a mastermind group that I created to help us boost and grow together in 2025.
That's awesome.
So when you're talking about how you can help, you have directly impacted my bottom line. And in doing that, I can now say, Sue is good peeps. What can I do for Sue? Which was part of our conversation. If I know that your events bring in good quality people, I want to meet them. I want to connect with them. And that also means I'm going to tell people all about the great people that are coming to your empowered networking events. It does not have to be a transactional encounter.
No.
for it to be a profitable encounter. And that's, I think, something everybody needs to take in. Come with, how can I help?
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Well, Sue, I am a big fan. I love the authentic and just this is me nature of what you do. And I'm sure our guests are wondering, well, where can I find Sue? Where can I register for her event? So please do tell us where you are in the interwebs and all the online spaces. Where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, straightforward, Sue Coleman. On Facebook, I have to go other and Sue Coleman International,
Okay.
because there's a famous artist out west with the name Sue Coleman, so I cannot use my own name just as it is. So Sue Coleman International on Facebook. And then I've got my empowerednetworking.net website. And of course, email sue@empowerednetworking.net.
Yeah. Direct contact. And if I may add, in the same way that Sue would come to you with the how I can help approach, when you're reaching out to Sue with all the great stuff she has to offer, you are still in a position to say, Sue, how can I help? And that, I think, is not just for business, but in our personal life encounters as well. If we can come to the world and say, how can I help? And if each of us can do that, I think we're on our way to building a much more beautiful world where we actually connect with people. So that's my 2 cents there.
Oh, no, it's absolutely. I mean, I think if everybody comes to everything to look for ways that they can help, then that's genius.
Yeah,
It's just, that's who we are as human beings. We like to help.
yeah,
We like to have fun and everything and do business, but how can you help is the best way for anybody that you meet. How can you help? How can you make that person's life better, whether it be their business or their personal? Leave them better than you found them, really.
Yes, that is my goal. That's one of the things I say often when I offer like free coaching opportunities. You will leave this conversation better than you came in. That is my goal. Because you're not paying doesn't mean you're getting nonsense. It means for me as the person delivering the service, and anytime I encounter anyone, people come into my presence, they have to leave better than when they came. They have to leave with something more positive, a brighter light, a better outlook, a new tip, or something. Even if all they get is a smile from me, they have to leave improved and better. So I really appreciate you sharing that, Sue. And I know that our viewers, our listeners are really appreciative of that as well. They're going to find you online, they're going to find you and they're going to use your services, and you will help them and they will help you. So thank you so much to Sue Coleman. Thank you. We appreciate your time. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in the next episode of Catalyst Conversations. Take care. Thank you for joining me today on Catalyst Conversations. I hope this episode sparked something powerful to help on your journey to building wealth confidently and unapologetically. If you loved today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if something resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep moving toward your goals, stay empowered, and continue sparking change on your wealth journey. This is Hadriana, and you've been listening to Catalyst Conversations.